On over everything. Yeah.
Wie geschickt. Sie haben gearbeitet, also haben sie gesungen. Uh, as well as craftily they worked, that's how they sang. Welten mit Gesang seinen in ihre Meiler gewähnt. There were worlds of song in their mouths. Der mit die Täuben in Reckel hat sich herumgedreht, gesagt mit Venus, geheißen Ibermachen. The one who had doves in his coat uh, twirled about. He recited, he spoke learned things, uh, and he asked that they Ibermachen, that they change it, that they um,
redo it.
Redo it. That would work. Yeah.
I got them gesagt Mavinus they criticized.
It could well be, yeah. Mavinus, a maven is an expert, so expertise, spoke about expertise, gave expert commentary, and he required that they make it again. Die zwei Täuben seine hat gar nicht herausgelost auf kein Weil. Those two doves of his, he never let out, even for a while. Oder hat sie gehalten unter den Reckel mit die Kepler heraus, oder sie seien gesessen bei ihm auf die Achseln, denn hat gedarf nutzen die Hand. Either he held them under his coat with their little heads peeking out, or they sat on his shoulders when he needed to use his hands. Tates haben gepatscht, jinglich und mädlich, verdrehen sich herum die Fremde. Fathers slapped their boys and girls because they were twirling about. They were ringing about the strange ones, the foreigners. Verschlossen in Stub, gedroht mit Gehennem, verdernentern sich zu die Mushumodim. The parents locked them up in the house and threatened them with hell for coming close to these Mishumodim, these apostates. Kein Sach hat nicht geholfen, but nothing helped. Wie Feuer zieht Schmetterlingen, Chotsch, es verbrennt sehr flieglich, just as fire draws butterflies or moths here, just because it might burn their wings. Also haben die ungefrorene Leid gezeugen jüngliche.
Even though, Hodge, even though.
Yeah, even though. Well, I don't know what I said, but
you
yes.
said because.
Oh yeah, even though. Thank you. Yeah, even though it would burn their wings. That's how these people who had traveled and arrived by traveling, how they attracted the boys and girls. Tatas and Mamas haben gesifzt und gesäudet sich geseder. Parents, fathers and mothers were just sighing and speaking secrets to each other continually. In einem Tag, a Hasten und a Helen, wenn die Sonne hat ganze zerbrennt mit Gold geschotten auf Dächer und Bämer, ist der Natschalnik von Sachatchow angekommen mit der ganzen Kampagne von bewaffneten Polizianten. One day, hot and clear, as the sun was burning everything with, well, it's a little hard grammatically here. It burned everything and it spread out a gold. It poured out gold on the rooftops and the trees. On that day, the Nachalnik, the officer from Sakachev, came up with an entire company uh, police with weapons. Ist gegangen voraus von seiner Kampagne. He went in front of the company mit schneller militärischer Tritt, with quick military footsteps. Die Polizianten haben gehalten in die Hand sehr krumme, lange Schwerten. The police held in their hands their crooked, long swords. Noch sei, sind noch gegangen Soltesis, peurische Älteste, mit blechlich auf ihre Brüsten. After them were walking Soltesis, which is defined here as peasant. The Älteste means the leaders of their communities, literally the oldest, with shields. These are with how am I going to show that? A blechel. It's like not a shield, but it's like a policeman's star on their breasts. Und mit grobe Flockens in their hand, and with thick flockens in their hands. A flocken is a pole. Der Nachalnik hat gegeben Befehlen. The officer gave orders. Die Polizianten und die Peuren haben schnell herumgeringelt dem Poritz Christovskis Häuf. The police and the peasants quickly surrounded the nobleman Christovski's courtyard. Danach hat der Ältester herausgezogen die Schwert und mit paradene Tritt rein in Häuf. And after that, the leader drew his sword, and with parade steps, he went into the courtyard. Die Polizianten haben ihm noch getan, and the police followed him. Die Sonne hat freilich gespielt sich in die heule Schwerden. The sun happily played with the bare swords in Nachalnik's lackierene Stiefel, and played in the shiny lacquered boots of the Nachalnik, of the officer. Der Nachalnik hat Ruf geschrien zu die arbeitende Leute auf die Leiters. The Nachalnik shouted up at the working folks on their ladders, gefochet mit der Schwert, and he waved his sword. Die Polizianten haben sich getummelt, geworfen sich auf jeden von die fremde Leid. The police made a commotion, and they threw themselves against each of the foreign folk. Bald haben zwei Polizianten gebracht zu führen dem Ältesten von die Leid, dem was hat die Jäuslach in Kirche übergemalt. Soon, two police brought up the oldest of the leader of the folk, the one who had repaired the Jesus figures in the church. Ist gegangen mit voller Tritt und geschwiegen. He went with lazy steps and was silent. Plötzlich hat mit beiden Händen die Latzen von sein Reckel angenommen und sei hastig geöffnet. Suddenly, with both hands, he grabbed the lapels of his jacket, and he opened it. Der Nachalnik is der Schockener a Sprung abgetan. The Nachalnik, in fear, sprang back. Der verfleckter Mensch hat heuch gelacht. The spattered with paint, I assume, spattered fellow laughed loudly. Von sein Reckel seinen Blois zwei Teuben herausgeflogen. From his jacket, it was just two doves that flew out. Weiße Basilberte von der heller Sonne. White and in a shiny silver color in the bright sunlight. Die Polizianten haben mit peurischer Strick jeden von die Leid zusammengebunden, die Hand. The police bound each of the workers' hands with peasant ropes. Jede zwei Menschen in einem verknüpft. Two apiece bound together. Wenn alle seien gewinn fertig, haben die Polizianten herumgeringelt die Gebundene. When everything was ready, the police surrounded the folks who were tied up. Die Soltesses mit die Flockens seien gegangen in a Zeit. The other peasants that were called Soltesses, the ones who had the poles, they went to the side. Der Nachalnik hat mit heldischer Tritt marschiert voraus. The Nachalnik, with heroic steps, marched in front. Seine lackierende Stiefel haben gelacht zu der Sonne. His shiny boots were laughing in the sun. Die Fremde seien gegangen ausgegleichte. The foreigners, that's the workers, they went ausgegleichte, straightened out. I'm not quite sure what that means in this context.
I think they went in line.
Okay, they went in lines. That could be.
Maybe they were tied in such a way where they could not bend or move.
Yeah, I think
You know,
in lines is going to work
together.
better here. Yeah. Noch
Okay.
seien etliche häufige Leiterwagens noch gefahren. And after them, several of the ladder wagons from the courtyard traveled behind them, voll mit zere Sachen und Kesslich bei die Kremlich und Kesslich bei die Kremlich seinen der schrockene. I'm trying to figure out, there must be a missing period here.
Yeah.
Full of their things and their boxes. Bei die Kremlich seien der schrockene Jiden und Weiber gestanden und still gesäudet sich. Next to the little stores, frightened people, men and women, were standing and were whispering to each other. Von die Soltesses hat man der schnappt voraus. Verwas, man führt die Leid in Strick gebunden. From the Soltesses, the peasants with poles, they caught wind of why they were leading these bound folk. Sie wollen verfolgt werden in Ketten, haben Jeden gemurmelt. Sie haben gerät auf den Kaiser. They're going to rot in chains, the Jews murmured. They have spoken against the Kaiser.
They will rotten in the verfolgt.
Yeah, they will rot in chains.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you said they will rot. I'm sorry, I didn't get.
Yeah. Für die gebundene Leid hat sich ein Stäub aufgehäuben und gegangen voraus wie ein Wegweiser. In front of the bound folk, a dust rose up and it went in front of them as if it were showing the way. Hart über die Kepsere haben die zwei weiße Tauben geflattert. Right above their heads, the two doves were fluttering. In der Sonne ihre Flügeln gesilbert und begleit die Menschen in ihre stäubige Weg. In the sun, their wings were silvery, and they accompanied the folk on their dusty way. Okay, enough for me.
Susan,
My turn.
yeah,
A mitzvah auf die Trefenikes haben fromme Jeden gesucht. Good luck to those heretics, the religious Jews cried out.
Well, not good luck. It's
Like,
it serves them right.
it
These,
served them right. They deserve this.
yeah.
A mix. Ich hab mit aller Keuches eingehalten die Tränen. With all my strength, I held back my tears. Was haben mir zugespart, which choked me. Und lang noch geguckt, die wegmarschierende Leid. And for a long time, I watched the people marching away. As they marched away, was haben zerrudert mein jüngerlichen Gemüt. They really made my young Gemüt,
Spirit.
Maybe
my young spirit, they really disturbed it. And Ruhigkeit therein reingetragen, they brought to my young spirit a restlessness. Tag der noch hab ich bei kein Fall nicht gekannt verstehen dem lichtigen Daf Gmorre. Daf Gmorre. Days after, I could in no way understand the leichten Daf. I could not make sense of the page of Gomorrah that I was studying.
The easiest page.
Easy. The easiest page of
The easiest page that I was studying. Zum Verdruss und Wunder von mein Vater. And my father was annoyed and surprised by this. Ich hab nicht aufgehört trachten wegen dem Mann mit der schönen Bord. I couldn't stop thinking about the man with that good-looking beard. Bord was will fearen jeden kein Eretz Yisrael, a beard that will lead Jews to the land of Israel.
No, it's a man who will. The man with a beard, that's Herzl, who wants to
Wegen dem Mann, okay, about the man with the good-looking beard, who will lead the Jews to the Holy Land. Wegen die fremde Leid was wollen verfolgt werden. And about the strangers who will be ruined who will be locked up in Caton in chains for Zayed Redden auf dem Kaiser, and they will be locked in chains because they were talking against the Tsar. In Giechen hab ich sich verwusst wegen ot die beide Unionen. Soon I found out about these two matters. In einem Tag is umgericht a litwische Jid verfahren zu unser Stub. One day, a Litvak Jew came to our town. A Yid mit kurzliche Kleider, a Jew with short clothes und groß Phonish Hittel and a big Russian style hat of a cup on his head.
No, it's not to our town, it's to our house, unser Stub.
Oh, to our house. Hat geführt mit sich a Jingle. He brought with him a young boy. Ungetun in a Reckel und in Häusen über die Schiech, who was dressed in a jacket, and his pants were over his shoes. They mentioned that various times. What does that mean about the Litvaks who wore their pants over their shoes? Can anybody tell me? It's been in this reading, and not this particular one, but in general. What would it refer to? How the Litvaks dressed.
It must have just been different from the way they dressed in its town.
Maybe the Hasidim were wearing long socks and so the pants were folded up.
Oh,
I
maybe they could get them tuck their pants into their socks.
To the socks, yes.
I
Well,
think
I wonder, I
Yeah.
wonder if it has something to do with, like being well off. That, like people who, remember the roads are muddy in most places, and people would not wear pants that were long because it would wreck them in the street. So I wonder if it says something about, a Litvish Yid is more refined, walks on concrete rather than dirt roads, and so can have the long pants and not worry about wrecking them in the mud.
it's come up several times in our other reading, this business with the wearing the pants over the shoes. Ungesucht mein Taten, als Ott dus kurz gekleidete Jingel will überlassen bei ihm zu. And he said to my father that this particular young boy with the short clothes, he wants to leave with him to learn in Torah, that he should teach him Torah. Hat ausgerät mit der Mamen, sie soll dem Jingel geben Essen und schlafen. And he also talked to my mother that he should give she should give the child, should give him food and a place to sleep. Und Achtung geben auf ihm and to take care of him. Und der Pfarr wird zahlen 4 kerbel a Woche. And for this, he would pay 4 kerbel a week. Der Jid hat gerät Litvisch und is gekommen von Arum Grodno. That Jew spoke with a Litvish accent, and he was from around Grodno. Wie soll is verfahren als kein Lenchen, gedenk ich nicht mehr. I no longer remember why he particularly came to Lenchen. Aber ich gedenk dem Jids kürzliche Kleider, but I do remember the Jew's short jacket und sein Phonisch Hittel and his Russian-style hat, was bei uns haben a sellige deutsche Malbuschem getrogen, nur Klezmer oder a Räufer. Which for us, but for us, there was certain German style clothing was worn, that German style clothing was worn only by klezmorim or by a doctor. Mein Vater hat dus Litwische Jingel ungenommen, aber hat verlangt von Vater seinem. So my father accepted this young boy, but he asked his father, as soll ihm austun die goyische Malbushim, to get rid of his goyish style clothing, und ihm untun wie a Yid, and dress him up like a Jew. Der Litwische Yid hat gleich geheißen bringen a Schneider. So the Litvak Jew immediately called a tailor und bestellt für sein Jingel a long chalatel, and he ordered for his son a long jacket, not the short jacket. Was man soll ihm aufnähen in dem selben Tag, which they would sew for him and make for him that very day. Der Jid is weggefahren und ungesucht sein Jingel. Soll schreiben Brief und lernen Teure. The Jew left, and he told his boy he should write letters and he should learn Torah. Scheike, sei a Mensch, hat der Jid ungesucht sein Sohn. Du hörst, Scheike? Shaika, be a decent person. He said to his son. Are you listening, Shaika? Shaika hat zugesucht. And Shaika said that he was listening. He said yes.
He promised. Zusagen is promise.
Zugesucht. Oh, he promised. Yes, he promised to do that. Aber wie nur der Vater is weg, but as soon as the father left, hat gleich kein Mensch nicht gewollt sein. And as soon as his father left, he no longer wanted to be a Mensch. Erstens hat nicht gewollt untun das Chalatl. The first of all, he didn't want to wear the long coat. Was der Schneider hat für ihm gemacht, which the tailor had made for him. Hat Käse gemacht von der Jupitze. He made fun of the long coat. Azoi hat Käse gemacht von allem und alles. And in the same way, he made fun of everybody and everything. Kein Sach is ihm nicht gefallen geworden by the Polische. He didn't like anything he found among the Polish Jews. Die erste etliche Tag hat noch wie nicht is gelernt by mein Vater. So the first few days, he did actually study with my father.
Yeah, wie nicht is means however, in some way or other.
Oh, okay. Zusammen mit mir, together with me. Bald hat genommen auf Reusdrehen sich von Lernen und herumlaufen, wo nur die Augen hat ihm getrogen. So, but soon he began to go away from studies and running around wherever his eyes took him, wherever he felt like. Hat euch gekauft auf Süßigkeiten in die Gewölblich. He also bought sweets of different kinds in the stores. Allerlei Zuckerlich und Leckerlich, all kinds of candies and little cakes. Und genascht auf was die Welt steht, and he just kept on gnashing. Aber der Iker hat Jung lieb gehabt zu der Erzählen meistens, but the best thing he loved was to tell stories. Als wegen die Gworen in sein Litwischstädtel bei Grodno, and all the stories were about the
Heroes.
the heroes.
Hero.
Gibber, in his Litwischstädtel near Grodno. Leut seine Meises is ausgekommen, als bei See in Städtel wohnen bloß Shimshon Hagibbers. Shimshon Hagibbers. So according to his stories, it came out that by them in their little town, the only people who lived there were Samson, strong Samsons, Shimshon Hagibbers, strong Samsons, und as a goy wagt gar nicht sich zu beweisen auf den jüdischen Markt, and that no Gentile dared show himself in the Yiddish marketplace, weil die Geworim machen von ihm krepplich Fleisch, because the Geworim, the higher class people,
No, the heroes, it's the same heroes.
they would make mincemeat out of him. Mein Vater hat nicht gewollt hören die fantastische Meises. My father did not want to hear those fantasy stories. Gerufen Scheiken zu der Gemara, and he called Scheike to come and study the Gemara. Scheike hat nicht gewollt gucken die Gemara. Scheike didn't even want to look at the Gemara. Und besser mir erzählt allerlei österliche meistens von sein Gegend. And he preferred to tell me all kinds of strange stories from his neighborhood where he lived. Okay.
Ja. Danke.
Okay. Von ihm hab ich sich euch gewusst wegen Zionisten und Sozialisten, wegen Streiks und Revolutionären, was schießen Polizianten. So from him I also came to know about Zionists and socialists, about strikes and revolutionaries who shot at policemen, Offizieren und auch viele Generalen und Kaisorim. And even they shot at policemen, officers, and even generals
And czars. It's the
and
plural of
czars.
Kaiser.
Okay,
Yeah.
Kaisorim, ja. Ich bin zu dem Scheiken zugesotten geworden. I became
Close.
Enamored of.
right,
Attached.
Enamored of.
enamored of this of Shaika. He loved him very much. Ich habe geguckt in seine brennende schwarze Augen. I looked into his burning black eyes, was sein Gewinn voll mit Leben, Lust und Zerspieltkeit. His eyes that were full of life, lust and playfulness. Ich habe angemosten sein Reckel begneva, and I measured his jacket in secret.
Maybe I tried it on.
I tried it on, yes.
Tried it on, yes, that makes sense. I tried it on in secret. Auf die spazieren hinteren Städte hat mich ausgelernt a jiddisch Liedl, was hat sich verendigt noch jeder Strophe mit der russischen Hei, 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 Dolai, Samodjenjeric is Rosai.
Hey, hey, dalai politsei, dalai samvrashavitz vrosei.
Okay.
Okay, Yaakov.
Okay. So each verse ended with the Russian words that we've just gone through. Einmal bei sa spazier hat Scheigitz ungereist auf uns a Hund. Once on such a walk that we had, a non-Jew set a dog onto us. Ich hab gemeint, als Scheike wird sich losen laufen, aber ist nicht gelaufen. I thought that Scheike would run away, but he didn't run. Mit die bloße Hand hat sich geworfen auf den Hund und ihm vertrieben. So with his bare hands, he threw himself at the dog and he chased him away. Das hat ihm nur aufgehoben in meine Augen. And this only raised him up in my eyes. Ich bin bereit gewesen, vor dem Scheiken in Feuer und in Wasser zu gehen. I was prepared to follow Shaika in fire and in water. Aber Punkt wie der wartet, der Jung ist herabgekommen zu uns, als sei umgericht ist weg. But exactly in the same way that he unexpectedly, this young man unexpectedly arrived at our house, so unexpectedly, he went away. Hat bei keinem Fall nicht gewollt bleiben bei uns. Und ist entlaufen nach heim. He didn't, under any circumstances, want to remain with us, and he ran away home. Hat mir übergelost sein nahe Chalattel und ein Messerl, ein klein Messerl, gemacht in dem Form von a Stiefel. So he left me his long jacket and a pocket knife, a small knife, which was made in the form of a boot, mit a sach klingelig und a propensier. The knife had many little blades and a corkscrew. Mehr von als hat übergelost Ruhigkeit in mein Herz. But more than anything, he left uneasiness in my heart. Denke ich noch etwas Größes und weißt
Weit, far away.
Und ungewöhnlichst. So a longing for something that was big and far away and unusual. Bald ist das Ungewöhnliche gekommen. And very soon after that, this unusual thing arrived. Es hat sich angehalten, die Milchome zwischen die Russen und die Japanichkes. The war between the Russians and the Japanese began.
Okay. Are you continuing or is it me?
Yeah, no, I was just waiting for the text to come up.
Okay.
Wer seien das die Japanichkes und wo sie gefunden sich, hat keiner nicht gewusst. So who these Japanese were and where they were, nobody knew. Aber man hat gewusst, als sie gefunden sich ergens weit hinter die Harei Choshech. Und als sie schlugen sich mit Phonias Soldaten. But they, people knew that they were to be found somewhere far away behind the mountains of darkness, the other end of the world, and that they were fighting with the Russian soldiers.
And the date here is 1904.
Yeah.
1904 and 1905 is when this war happened.
Right. Zwischen welche es seinen euch gewinn etliche Lentschiner Bocherin. And among the Russian soldiers, there were also several young men from Lenchen. In Gichen hat man euch genommen reden, als man wird nehmen ausgediente Soldaten und Weiber von solchen Männern haben bei Zeitens genommen, klagen und weinen. So very soon, people started speaking that they would take soldiers who had already served, and the women of these men in good time began to cry and complain and cry. Euch zwischen die Poerim hat man geredet wegen dem. And they spoke about this even among the peasants. Als man wird zunehmen die Männer auf der Milchome, that they would take all the men, send them to war. Auf Yeridim haben sich allerlei Klangen herumgetragen. Klangen wegen Aufstanden, Bunten und Merides. Klangen wegen ein Bund von Polaken, was willen zurück einführen a polnische Meluche. And at the fairs, there were all sorts of rumors that going around, rumors about revolts, rebellions, and insurrections, rumors about a rebellion of the Poles who wanted once again to introduce a Polish state. Auf ein Jerid is gekommen zu a Bund. And at one of these trade fairs, it led to a rebellion. Einer Raschegets mit dem Namen Michalassok, ein dorfischer Jung, was hat gearbeitet in Warschau in einer Fabrik, hat genommen Dingen a Lidl mit Häusig auf dem hat genommen Singen a Lidl mit Häusig auf dem Kaiser. So a young Gentile by the name of Michalassok, who was a young man from the village, he had worked in a factory in Warsaw, and he began to sing a song which ridiculed the Tsar. Hat euch gelacht von die russische Sellner und geläubt die Japaneser. He also laughed at the Russian soldiers and he praised the Japanese. Dabei hat gesagt, als der Pfarr rufen die Japanchikes sehr Land Japan, weil das meint Japan. So he also said that the Japanese called their country Japan. Ich bin a Pan. I am a Lord. Und lass mir nicht kriechen auf den Kopf von die Katzapes. And don't let me climb all over the Russians. Die zwei Polizanten haben gewollt dem Majestät Lästerer arrestieren. The two policemen wanted to arrest the profaner of the majesty. Aber Michalaschuk, a Gibber, hat sich geworfen auf sie und herabgerissen seine Epauletten und Medaillen. But this Michalaschuk, who was a very strong man, threw himself at them and he tore off their epaulettes and their medals. Ein Polizant hat herausgezogen sein Schwert, aber Michalaschuk hat mit die bloße Hand herausgerissen die Schwert von Polizants Hand. One of the policemen drew his sword, but Michalaschuk, with his bare hands, tore the sword out of the policeman's hand. hands. Chotsch, seine Hand ist gewinn zerschnitten und zerblutigt. Hat Michalachuk vertrieben die kaiserlichen Diener. Even though his hand was cut and was bloody, Michalachuk drove away the Tsar's servant.
Servants, plural. Kaiserliche is plural.
Servants, ja. Okay. Hat sich hereingerissen in ein Gericht und herabgerissen dem Zars Porträt und dem Adler. He broke into the courthouse where he tore down the Tsar's portrait and also the eagle. Wegworfen dem kaiserlichen Porträt auf der Gas hat auf ihm abgetan eine nicht schöne Sache und hat gerufen, die Päuren, sie sollen noch gehen, nach ihm. So, throwing the Tsar's portrait onto the ground, into the street, he did not a very nice thing on the portrait. And he called upon the peasants that they should follow him. Nehmen Heck und Willes und vertreiben die Katzapes from Poland. And he called upon the peasants to take axes and pitchforks and to drive the Russians from Poland. Jeden haben gleich abgereinigt die stelliglich in Mark. The Jews immediately cleaned up the stalls in the market. Verhackt, Tier und teuer und behalten sich in Meure vor dem aufgereizten Hamon. And they bolted their doors and gates and they hid in fear of the incited mob. Michalachuk hat geschrien. The Michalachuk was yelling, man soll nicht mehr haben, that one shouldn't be afraid, weil es ist jednotches Einigkeit, heißt es, und man meint nur die Katzapes. He yelled, one shouldn't be afraid, because it's only all he wants is unity, and it's only the fight is only against the Russians and not against the Jews. Aber jeden seien geblieben versteckt in seiner Behaltenissen. But the Jews remained concealed in their hiding places. Die zwei Polizisten haben sich euch behalten ergens auf einem jüdischen Beudem. And the two policemen also hid somewhere in a Jewish attic. Inmitten der Nacht haben sie sich übergetan in jüdische Kapottes, verbunden die Backen mit Keschene Pacheles, wie sie wollten gelitten von Zornweitig. So in the middle of the night, they changed into Jewish long coats, capotes, and they bandaged their cheeks with pillow slips.
No, handkerchiefs, I think.
Handkerchiefs.
Handkerchiefs. With handkerchiefs. as if they were suffering from toothache. Also, als men soll nicht erkennen seine gegolte Bärd, so that they shouldn't recognize their shaven beards, und seinen entlaufen von Städtel kein Sochachow, and they ran away from the Städtel to Sochachow. So we need to get the text down.
Right,
Okay,
we're at the
Rocco?
first paragraph there.
What were you
Rachel?
saying? Yeah, okay.
Auf den dritten Tag.
Ja, okay, ja. Right. Auf dem dritten Tag ist der Suchatschower Natschalnik gekommen mit etliche von Slaznikes, wovon mit Bixen. On the third day, that official from Sochotov came with a few carriages of soldiers, armed with guns. The soldiers arrested peasants. Die Straßenkes haben arrestiert Feuern, welche sie haben gebunden in Strick. The soldiers arrested peasants whom they tied up with ropes. Der Natschalnik allein hat gepatscht inmitten Gas die Bunto, the official himself beat up in the middle of the street. He beat up the rebels. In Ketten wird verfolgt werden oder gedunnert und getuppet mit die lackierenden Stiefel. Ich verlange, es soll sein ruhig in mein Häuser. In shekels will you rot? He was yelling or roaring, and
He thundered.
What were you saying?
He thundered.
Thunder. Okay, so roaring isn't good enough. Okay, okay, gedunet. Yeah, of course, because a duner is a thunder. Thank you. Yeah, that's right. So he thundered, and he was tapping with his boots, with lacquered boots.
Wouldn't it be polished boots that they made?
For lackierene, if it's lackierene, it's also polished. I don't know. Ich verlange, es soll sein ruhig in mein Ohren. I demand that it should be quiet in my district. A Zeit ist gewinn ruhig, aber nicht auf lang. For a time it was quiet, but not for long. In einem Afrimorgen hat der jüdische Edim Josef Reuskes sich bewusst von sein Atzfira, was ist gewöhnlich angekommen mit einer Woche später, am wenigst wegen einem Pogrom in Bialystok. I'm shaking from this. In one morning, the rich son-in-law, the son-in-law of the rich man, Joseph Roiskes, learned from his newspaper Hatzfira. That was a Hebrew paper, a Zionist paper that came usually came late by a week. He learned about the pogrom in Bialystok. It came late by a week at least. Wo es ist Bialystok hat man nicht gewusst bei uns. Where Bialystok was, nobody knew in our place. Man hat verstanden, als dort wohnen Jiden Litvakes. We understood that over there Litvakes are living. Aber die Neuesten ist in der Loschen Kodesh Zeitung seinen Gewinn Meuredicke. But the news in Loschen Kodesh in the Hebrew newspaper were frightening. Joseph Roiskes, der litwische Edim, hat übergesetzt in Jiddisch die Beschreibungen wegen der Zichres, wegen Kinder und Skenim, was man hat zerhackt mit Heck, wegen Meuberese Weiber, was man hat ihre Beicher aufgeschnitten. So Joseph Roiskes, the Litvak son-in-law, translated into Yiddish what the Hebrew paper said, the writings regarding murders, regarding children and elderly who were beaten up with heck, with
The axes.
Axes, thank you, yeah. Regarding pregnant women whose bellies were cut up. Die Davene in Besamidrash seinen gestanden Blasse, der Schrockene, the congregation in the synagogue or in the study house, they were standing pale, frightened, mit gebogene Cap, seinen Jiden heimgegangen mit sehr Tales Säcklach zu essen und beißen. So with bent down heads, Jews were going home with their bags of talis to eat a meal. Ich bin gewesen also zerrudert von die meuredicke Sachen, als ich hab nicht gewollt essen dem Anbeißen, was die Mama hat gekriegt von mir. I was so upset by all these things, by all these news, that I did not want to eat the meal that my mother prepared for me. Ich habe sich weggelegt auf einen grün gefarbenen Koffer, was ist gestanden bei uns im Stub, und ich habe gehabt eines zu Gott, zum jüdischen Gott, was hat gelost, Goyim Rotzchim, schon als solche Achzarius zu Jiden, zu Skenim und Kinder, zu Weiber und Eufelach. So, I lay down on a green painted trunk that was standing in our home, and I was arguing with God, to the Jewish God, that as to why he is allowing Gentiles, murderers, do such cruelty to Jews, to the elderly, and to children, to women, and to babies. Tate Mame allein Gebrochene und mich getreist, geteinet, als das ist der Fall, was Jeden sündigen. Und als Jeden wollen gehen in Gottes Wegen, wird Gott sich da barmen auf sie. Weil Gott ist ein guter, ein gerechter. So, my father and mother, they themselves broken down from this news. They tried to cheer me up. They argued as that this is happening because Jews are sinning, are committing sins. And when Jews will follow God's laws, God will have mercy on them because God is a good one, a just one. Ich hab die Rede nicht gekannt hören. I could not hear this kind of talk. Nein, Gott ist ein Schlechter, hab ich geschrien in Wetek. A Schlechter, no. God is a bad one. I was yelling in pain. A bad one. Tate Mame haben verstopft die Euren, nicht zu hören die Gottlästerung. My father and mother maybe put something in the ears not to hear this blasphemy of God.
They put their hands on their ears.
Okay.
They blocked their ears.
Block, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Die weitere Neuesten haben angehoben ankommen öfter und öfter in Städten. This terrible news started coming more and more often in our town. Jeden haben sie gebracht von Warschau, wo sie haben gekauft Schores. Jews brought them from Warsaw, where they used to buy merchandise. A viele mein Vater hat genommen Laien die treffende Sphäre beim negidischen Edem und lehnen die schlechte Besorgs. Even my father started borrowing this non-kosher Hebrew newspaper from the rich man's son-in-law and to read the bad news. In die Vernachten zwischen Mincha und Mare haben jeden sich zusammen gequetscht, wie ein Stadeschof in Meure Pfarrer Wolf und gerät wegen jüdischer Zores und Sakones. In the afternoons or before evenings, between the time you say you say Mincha and Mariv, Jews were all crowding together like a flock of sheep who when they're afraid of a wolf, and they were talking about Jewish problems and dangers. Doch genommen der Zelt wegen Unruhigkeit in die Dörfer. Country Jews were telling about restlessness in the villages. Andere haben gesagt, als Katzapes von Tiefrussland seinen herabgebracht geworden zu befallen durch Städtel. Allerlei wüste Klangen haben sich getrogen. Other people were saying that Russians from deep Russia were brought in to attack the town. All kinds of rumors were going on. Einmal in der Früh, wenn man ist gekommen, davenen und man ist zugegangen, herausnehmen ein Sefer Torah zu lernen, weil es ist gewesen ein Tachnungtag, hat man zum Schreck gesehen, dass es fällt eine Reinigkeit in Aaron Kodesh. Das kleine Sefer Torah mit dem Meschene Atzechaims, in welchem man pflegt gewöhnlich lernen inmitten der Woche. One day in the morning, when the people came to pray, and they went to take out the Torah scroll to read the Torah, because it was a
Monday or a Thursday. When you say
okay.
that, those are the days you recite the longer Tachanun, and those are the days you read Torah.
I don't need to go to tutorial school anymore. I got you. Thank you. They saw they were frightened to see that there was a Torah scroll missing in the ark. This small Torah scroll with a velvet
Brass.
brass.
Yeah, mesh is brass.
I never noticed. Okay. You already told me this a few times. Okay, brass. Okay. Atzechaims. That's
The posts about which the Torah parchment is rolled.
Thank you. In welchem reflect die wenig lernen inmitten der that Torah scroll that they used to read during the week. In Besamidrash hat sich aufgehoben a Tumult. In the synagogue there was a lot of noise.
A commotion.
Okay, thank you. Men hat gleich verstanden, als etwas Schlechts hat gemusst geschehen. It was right away understood that something bad had to happen.
Must have happened.
Yeah, must have happened. Thank you. Noch etliche so herumsuchen hat man der Sinn wie ein Fistel von Menschen im Mitzrayim steckt heraus von Wasser leben bis am Midrash. Also, ja, they understood that, okay, that something bad must have happened. After looking for the Torah scroll for a few hours, people saw how a foot of the brass shrine is coming out of the river next to the synagogue. A swampy river, a sumpig Wasser, in welchen es pflegen herumschwingen Katschkes, where ducks and Katschkes und Chaserim pflegen sich dort killen sehr separate fette Leiber. And pigs were cooling off their sweaty, fat bodies. Also wie wir wohl gefunden Horror und ihnen geeilt sich beim Herausziehen die Reinigkeit von Sumpferäus. Just as if they had found a dead person, a person who was killed. Jews were in a rush to take the Torah scroll out of the swamp. Der Olam ist noch gelaufen wie noch Alevaye. The crowd was following them, running after them, like they were following them like they would follow a funeral. Mein Vater hat mit zitternden Händen gechaut verblottigte Sefer in seine Ohren und ausgelegtes auf so Porcelain Talis auf dem Schulchan. My father, with shaking hands, grabbed the bloody book.
Muddy.
Verblottigte the muddy book in his arms, and he put it on a talis, on a non-kosher talis on the table. Aber es ist gewesen im ganzen nass und keuchig. But it was completely wet and muddy. Die Yere sind gewesen...
Filthy, no?
What?
Filthy.
I'm from dirty and muddy, yeah. Die Yere sind gewesen verfolgt und oben verspreit a schlechten Reich. So the parchments were rotten and they spread a bad smell, a bad odor. Mein Tate hat gesagt über den Sefer Baruch Dayana Emes. My father said over the book, may the true justice be blessed. Women sagt über a Nifta, like you say over a deceased person. Jeden haben geweint, Jews cried. Der Tate hat geheißen einpacken das Sefer in an Ohren und es mekaber gewesen auf dem Beisoilem in Zakratche. My father ordered to pack the Torah scroll in a
casket.
A casket?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And he buried it in a cemetery in Zakratche. Der Tag von der Kvure ist gewesen ein Tag von Tannis. The day of the burial was a day of fast. Jeden und Weiber oben gefasst. In Besser Midrash hat man gesagt, Sliches und gelehnt war Jachal. Jews and women were fasting, and in the synagogue they were saying Sliches, and they read Vayachal, which maybe you want to interpret for me what it is.
I think that's an extra paragraph in the Shemoneh Esrei, which is recited by the Chazan on a fast day. I'm not sure because I've never recited it.
Okay. In Gehen hat man sich bewusst, als das hat aufgetan dem Feuer Großkis als Sohn, a Chazerim Pasche, was hat gefüttert seine Dvorim Acherim nicht weit von Besser Midrash. Quite not long after that, people learned that this was done. This thing did the peasant, the son of the peasant Groski, a shepherd of pigs that was feeding his pigs. Dvorim Acherim, it's the way of Jewish way to say this non-kosher things, not far from the synagogue. Aber man hat nicht gewagt, ihm anzurühren, weil man hat Meure gehabt für die unruhige Feuern. But nobody dared to touch him because they were afraid of the restless peasants. Man ist bloß weg zum Galech
New
im
page.
Pharmaceuten. They only went to the priest to tell about him, to inform the priest. Der Galach hat zugesagt, als wird ihm schon bestrafen auf der Lektie von Religie in Kirche. So the priest promised that he will already punish him during the session about religion in the church.
Most likely in a sermon.
What did you say?
Most likely this lectio would be during a sermon.
Yeah, okay. In Besser Midrash hat man ungeheuben Schmuesen. Als Mashiach-Zeiten kommen on, in the synagogue they started to say that Mashiach's times are coming. Oh,